Hello and welcome to a very special Friday the 13th edition of It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Fox. All right, I am out here in the back doing a special presentation of my 20 by 20 series featuring Richardson Hitchens and then also George Cambosis Jr. All right, so I have really been thoroughly entertained by the press conferences and more recently the weigh-ins. Shout out to both fighters for actually making weight. All right, can't take that for granted, especially nowadays. So, with this particular fight, really does excite me because there's a realm of possibilities. I'll get into that right now. All right, so we'll start off with George Kambosos. George Kambosos is a fighter, of course, out of Australia. Basically, he he likes to get in what we call a speed stance, which just basically means that your right guard is tight right here, but your left is loose, because most of the time speed fighters like to just flicker out jabs. All right, so and then they'll keep their chin tucked in right here. So to avoid to avoid any serious damage. So again, they flicker out the jab, and then they'll use a shoulder to protect their chin, and then use the right hand. Now, with that, um, most of the time when a speed fighter is actually guarding, their right hand is active. Their left hand is not going to be so much active because your chin is tucked into your left shoulder. So there's not much that you could do defensively besides just kind of roll. All right, and then the right hand supposedly catches. Now, um, with that being said, I'll get into why that could be detrimental to George Kambosos. But we're gonna get into why he can actually win this fight. All right. So, with George Kambosos being in the speed stance, what he would basically have to do is utilize his speed to disrupt Richardson Hitchens' rhythm. Okay, and then the way that you do that is you, from the outside, working your way in, because Kambosos is smaller. You're just going to have to flick that jab and use multiple angles. You constantly have to take yourself offline and buzz around like these flies are doing to me right now. So when you're doing that and you're just disrupting his rhythm and timing, okay, by not being able to sit still and you're constantly flickering jabs out, then what basically happens is he may wind up committing. If he winds up committing and he's offline, then basically what can happen is that right hand could be a factor. All right? So that right hand could actually be a factor, and then that could be a scoring shot for George Kambosos Jr. All right? I think clinching is also going to be very important in this fight for George Kambosos. I think that clinching basically means frustration for opponents. So if you're able to just kind of work your way in and then you're clinching, your opponent's not able to get off the shots that he wants to get off. So if Kambosos is able to just maybe throw quick combinations and then just take himself offline and start clinching, then he could disrupt again the rhythm and timing of Richardson Hitchens. Okay, I think that's very important in order for him to actually win. Now, also Richardson Hitchens, who I'll give a breakdown to as well, is a basic, fundamentally sound fighter. Okay, so he's basically going to make sure that he has a basic high guard when he's in close. Sometimes when he's out, he'll do a speed stance, but most of the time when he's just getting within punching range, he's going to have a high guard. So, and once he actually has that high guard, it is very difficult to break that particular guard. Now, what Kambosos can actually do with that is he can actually begin when the fight first starts. you want to punch at that high guard, okay? You just want them constantly in the defense. The reason that that's important is because if you get someone accustomed to just doing this and shelling up, it sets up other punches. So, so if I were Cambosis, and again, this is just me talking as a fan. All right, this is not something that actually should be the Bible or whatever. But I believe that it would be best for George Cambosis if he's just able to punch at Hitchens' guard, have him block and try to protect early, and then as he's accustomed to bringing his guard closer and tightening it up, then George can actually throw those looping shots that he's actually just accustomed to throwing. So George Cambosis likes to throw a looping left hook and then sometimes an overhand right. If he is able to actually land those shots successfully, that could actually help him win the fight. So you basically want to make sure that you have, Hitchens tighten up his guard, and then once his guard is tight, you punch around it. So, for example, if someone's coming in like this, and you already have them accustomed to just shelling up and then coming in, when they come in, you're basically going to punch around that guard. Step off line, and of course you could go to the body, or you could just completely reset. The choice is on the fighter. But I do believe that if George Cambosis is able to throw off the rhythm and timing of Richardson Hitchens, then I think that he has a very good chance of winning. Now, with Richardson Hitchens, again, he's good, fundamentally sound, and he's just as fast, if not maybe even a little bit faster than George Cambosis as far as hand speed. Now, what Richardson Hitchens also has is good footing. He's able to maneuver, quickly set, and then punch. What the hell? He's able to maneuver very well, set, punch, maneuver, set, punch, maneuver, set, punch. So he's a very good technician, okay? He throws an excellent jab, which I'll show from this side. He's good, clean, fundamentally sound. Now I do it a lot slower than he does, but I think that you get the gist. So basically, you can set the table with a proper jab. A jab can actually help set anything up, basically. You can hook off the jab. You can throw a straight right off the jab, which is more conventional. If you get in close enough, you're able to throw uppercuts and then hooks, just to balance that out. There are several things that you could actually do as far as punches off the jab. So I think that it is key that Richardson Hitchens establishes his jab, keeps Cambosis at bay, and then he can pretty much set the table for whatever he wants. I think that there's probably just going to be such a physical mismatch with this particular fight that I just really do believe that Richardson Hitchens should not have a logical reason to actually lose, unless it's the reason that I explained before, which is to disrupt his timing and rhythm. If that does not happen, and Hitchens is able to establish his jab, which I think is very important. I think that if he's able to establish his jab and not look for the knockout like T.O. did in the Cambosis fight, I think he'll do just fine. I think, again, that knockout talk, that might have been for show, but I think that if he is able to properly set up his, if he's able to actually set that jab up in time Cambosis coming in, then boom, Yeah, look out for the dynamite. Yeah, that could happen. I mean, Hitchens has a beautiful straight right, and it slices his opponent. Um, he's thrown it to the body. Boom. I've seen him actually shake up Paro pretty bad with a nice straight right hand. I know that Paro is a southpaw, and most southpaws are going to be susceptible to right hands. However, with that slicing right hand that he actually throws, with with dead accuracy, I think that it's a huge weapon to have, especially with Cambosis. Um, so, without further ado, my prediction for the winner, of course, is obviously going to be Richardson Hitchens. I think that because of Hitchens being very fundamentally sound and more physically capable, there should not be a logical reason that he actually loses this particular fight. So I do have Richardson Hitchens. I think I believe by probably like an 8-4 decision rather than a knockout. But I would not be surprised with maybe an eighth or ninth round stoppage because of accumulation of shots. So that is my particular prediction for this fight. And now we're actually going to move on and talk more about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Stay tuned.